How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you also have a very strong brother, by the way.
He's not too bad.
Rich?
Yeah.
Richard?
He could do with a bit of improvement.
Are you, by the way, one of the strongest brothers on Earth, or are there stronger brothers?
Well, we're actually twin brothers, so he's an international master, and maybe we're the strongest twins. We're probably the strongest twins. I'm not sure if we're the strongest brothers, but I'm sure someone can do the research and let us know.
Yeah, please go to the internet resources. The interesting question: are Nicholas and Richard Pert the strongest twin brothers in chess, or even the strongest brothers? And if not, who is stronger? And by the way, next week probably in the German Endspiel show, Arne Bracker will be my guest. He is about 2,200 and hunting international master norms, while his brother Frank has 2,400. So they are also not bad, but not strong as you, of course. But it's quite nice coincidence.
Yeah, we're sort of. I think I don't really know what his rating is now. I think it's about 2430 or 2440, something like that. I'm not sure 100%, but somewhere around that number. He was trying to become a grandmaster, but as you get older, it becomes harder. So you need to do these things when you're younger, I think.
Yeah, of course, chess is becoming more and more a young man's game. But let's first jump to the history. The World Championship, of course, world champions have done a lot for the game, and whole eras are in a way seen through the games of the World Championship. And yesterday my new DVD has appeared, Endgames of the World Champions, from Fischer to Carlsen. And of course I want to give you a copy.
Oh, I'm honoured. Thank you.
Yeah.
I put out for the camera.
Yeah.
Fischer to Carlsen.
Thank you.
A good buy, I'm sure. But I'll tell you once I've reviewed it. But I'm sure I'll learn something from it, so it's good.
But of course, it must be said that it is based on Chess-Based Masterclass DVD series, and of course, Arnand and Kramnik haven't appeared yet as Masterclass DVDs, but will probably appear either at the end of this year or during the next year. So. But nevertheless, I hope that 9 hours of World Championship Endgames are fascinating. And I've selected one here which has fascinated me a lot. Karpov-Kasparov, the famous 9th game of the Moscow World Championship 1984. And this is probably the position in the history of chess where the most, or the endgame type, where the most false winning proofs have been published. It's in a way like Fermat's last theorem in chess.
So you think the analysis has been bad, has it, of this endgame? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Even I contributed in Endgame Corner 43 a false winning proof. Yeah. And the old literature in general believed that with the 2 extra pawns it must be winning. Some books even didn't consider it necessary to give some sort of proof. They just said it's a matter of technique or whatever.
Yeah.
But then in 2004, Mark Dvoretsky sent me an email that my analysis was very nice, but basically the configuration of my final positions are 6-man table-based draws. And in that moment, after working for 1 week earlier on it, I saw, or I in a way knew that the position must be drawn.
When you check it, do you use an engine? Is that how you did the analysis of it originally?
Yeah, in 2004. But of course, I didn't use and didn't have the 6-man table bases, of course, which is crucial for this.
Yeah.
While nowadays, of course, the table-based generator Finalgen and Guy Hayworth has constructed this, has confirmed that the position is drawn. 100% confirmed. But I already knew before. After I have read Mark Dvoretsky's email, I knew it.
Yeah.
You say, of course, it's human knowledge and it can be wrong, but...
Well, he must have analysed that for a long time to prove that it's a draw, though.
Yeah, I tried for 1 week very hard to prove a win.
Yeah.
Then I thought I found one, and with the old engines it was about more than +2. And it was, it seemed to me it must be winning, and I of course didn't check it too deeply because I wanted to be the first to publish a really convincing proof.
So you worked for a week, but you didn't check it deeply. How long did you need? Like a month or something? A week is quite a long time.
Well, the thing is, I just want, it's a typical human mistake also, I think. I wanted it to be won, because then I would be the first man, in a way, who published a winning proof which can be understood. Okay. It's still like the mathematicians who are still searching for a proof of Fermat's last theorem, which could have been delivered by Fermat himself.
Sure.
And in a way, if you could be the first one, you wouldn't want to know that there may be mistakes in your stuff. You want to get it published in a way.
You're afraid that someone else was analysing this endgame at the same time?
I knew that it was a race with Marin Dvoretsky and so on at that time.
Okay.
It was somehow clear. There were so many publications of it, and it was now somehow clear with the latest engines and so much energy put in that there must be a final verdict.
Okay.
But surprisingly, the verdict was a draw.
Okay.
This was a problem in a way, because everybody had assumed with 2 extra pawns you must be winning.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, what is the only drawing move? What should Kasparov have played?
You're asking me, yeah?
Yeah.
I can see your analysis now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you're saying bishop h1.
This is the only move to draw. I also like this for several reasons. It's also when you go to the corner with bishops, because then you can't switch the diagonals. This always is, has some fascination on its own.
Well, I guess some logic, keeping the bishop far away from your king to avoid all the knight forks, that does make some sense.
Okay, and now my proof went as follows. At least what I thought to be a proof.
Yeah.
And I thought I was very clever having this,
knight c4, huh?
trick to outsmart the defense, to force the position, to force in a4. Yeah. And I thought, basically, if white gets in a4, white always wins.
Okay.
And the thing is that this is basically wrong. If white gets in a4 with nothing special, it's usually a draw. And this is the reason why my proof was wrong.
Okay.
But I, didn't want to go too deeply into your criticism is right, but I wanted to be the first,
Sure, yeah.
And here comes the problem. I had now given king c6, and indeed then white is winning, because now white has a more active setup, and black's bishop is not so
There's a nice
well
blockade, isn't there, with the knight and the pawns work well together. You can just bring the king in, probably.
But Dvoretsky pointed out that we just go here, and now I had thought these positions are always won, and he made me that this position is a tail-based draw. And in that moment, I, in a way, knew that the whole position must be a draw, because I had tried for 1 week everything back and forth, and nothing had worked.
Okay.
And the tail-based generator confirmed this. Yeah. And then Marin and Dvoretsky and I put the published analysis turned around in 2004, and since then there was a big turnaround. But nevertheless, even later winning proofs have appeared, but as I tell you, they are not right.
I don't know. It sounds like it's been checked thoroughly, doesn't it? So,
yeah, the tail-based now has, this year the tail-based has confirmed it. But in the old times it was not so easy to generate a complete tail-base for the...
It's a good way to spend a lot of time on one position, isn't it? So
But yeah, you're right. But for mathematicians, it's not, for Fermat's theorem, thousands or hundreds of thousands of the best mathematicians on earth have spent all their time, and nobody has found a proof which Fermat could have found. So
okay. Yeah.
I know mathematicians.
Maybe it's the challenge that other people are interested in this endgame that was driving you to spend all the time on it.
Yeah, I wanted to be the first.
Sure.
Okay, but I made one lasting contribution. Bishop b7 was a mistake. But it's also all given, of course, on the World Championship, on World Champion DVDs. This is just to whet your appetite for,
Sure.
Because they are the greatest players. Their endgames generate the most interest. They are on this match. They are published hundreds of books. And this makes it more interesting, I think, for other people to go into the discussion and so on. With the mathematical problems, in a way, it's similar. And then sometimes these mathematical problems, they gain independence of everything else. It's just you just go there because nobody has solved it so far.
Yeah.
Okay, my contribution is here. Bishop g2 is of course Kasparov already over the board. Was already psychologically extremely difficult. He had lost already 4 games, and it looked like Karpov will destroy him.
Sure.
And now the third pawn is lost, and then we don't need the table-based generators.
Sure. Yeah.
Better is king d5, and here
it was quite a weak defense then by Kasparov. Do you think?
Yeah, but you must take into consideration that it was psychologically already extremely tough for him.
Yeah.
He was not only fighting on the chessboard, he was also in a way, in his view, and in general, fighting in the Soviet Union, some power struggle inside of the apparatus of the Soviet Union, played on a board.
Sure.
And you don't want to lose such power struggles, do you?
I still think a player of his quality could have defended a bit better than he did.
Yeah, and later in the match he did. After this match lasted for many months, but in a way maybe he first had to get to the position to get this, tenacity. Yeah, Karpov played several matches and several of his opponents didn't manage to get to this level of tenacity and had already lost before.
Sure, yeah.
But Korchnoi managed, but not in all matches.
Yeah.
And Kasparov in this first match, I think, needed some time to adjust to this.
Well, I guess if you're just not used to a certain level of player, that probably applies to everyone. And you're playing against someone who's maybe even a little bit stronger than you. It's just very difficult, isn't it? You need to almost change your approach slightly. Yeah, and also Karpov's style was very difficult, I think, for Kasparov to deal with at the beginning, because Karpov always stops everything prophylactically. You want to activate somebody in some moment, and it just never works. Yeah, no, exactly. He's
probably
not the right player for Kasparov to play against. Kasparov probably likes playing the more aggressive and open players, isn't he?
But he learned, you are absolutely right, of course, but Kasparov learned a lot from Karpov over the more than 100 games they played against each other, and Kasparov became an even stronger player.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did, yeah.
Here comes my contribution. This is also not so easy to refute, by the way. To prove a wide win from here is still amazingly difficult. But here it can be done by forcing with a knight to the roads. If now king d5, then somehow if white's knight gets back actively to c3, then white is always winning, and here the knight has too many options on the things. And if the knight goes back to c3 with back king passive, then white is always winning.
Sure.
Usually it cannot achieve it, but the bishop on b7 is so badly placed.
Yeah.
So one possible main line, which most beautiful, is this, but it's all losing, of course. And now the knight dominates the bishop.
Yeah. You have a name for that, don't you? Or is it the other way around?
It's the other way. For this, I don't have. A name yet.
Oh, really?
It's of course.
You need to think of one then.
What do you?
I can't.
If the knight would be a bishop and the bishop would be a knight, then in English it was already a claim correlating.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even a name needed.
Okay.
Only in German there was no name, so in German I suggest Einfärchen.
Okay.
But for this I haven't a name, and it's really maybe there's not a name needed, and the bishop potentially could go away. So
you're not completely trapped.
Yeah, and then to have a name for this, I think this doesn't really work.
Okay, fine.
Otherwise, we could coin it Pert domination or whatever. But I think
I'm
it's
not sure.
not.
I don't want to take credit for this. Yeah.
It may not catch on.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, to win here was still quite fast. These games, they really have these, especially these knight against bishop fights, they can be amazingly deep.
Yeah.
King e3, and if now bishop c4, then the knight can be regrouped to c3 because the bishop blocks the inroad.
Sure.
And if king c6, then d5 check, and now black is the king cannot move and the bishop is in Zugzwang, and white wins.
Okay, yeah.
So this loses by this is my contribution. What remained from the week of work, which was right. So, but the world champions have played so many amazing endgames. There is Fischer and Karpov and Kasparov and Kramnik and Anand, and last not least, of course, Magnus Carlsen's endgame. So I hope you will enjoy the
I'm looking
DVD.
forward to it. Yeah, DVD. Yeah.
Okay, great. But you didn't come to Hamburg especially for the DVD or for Endgame Magic, or did you?
Yeah, that's the main reason I came back. I've had a couple of shows already now, so I've got a taste for it.
No, but you, I think, also record several DVDs, or?
Yeah, I'm doing a couple of DVDs. At the moment, I'm going through a D4 repertoire for white. So last time I was over, it was based on D4, D5 positions. And now I'm looking at other responses from black based on sort of the Indians and the Bononis and Benko Gambits, all this kind of openings. So is trying to complete the repertoire, and also I'm doing some work on the Sicilian as well. So, hopefully something that's of interest to people. Well, I'm sure it will be out in the next couple of months anyway. So
yeah, of course, D4 mainline repertoire is always interesting, and Sicilians will never go out of fashion.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, then let's look at a few of your games. Pert, O'Gorman, just to get started by Basingstoke. By the way, I was also doing live commentary together with Michael Rahal on the British Championship, which can also be viewed in the archives of the ChessBase website, a video portal. And this was also a really great tournament.
There was a lot of fighting chess, definitely. Yeah, a lot of long games. I think in my first 5 games, I think 3 of them were... I think I had one at 90 moves, one at over 100, and one at about 130 or 140 moves or something. So, yeah, some very long games. And, I think in general, a lot of people were trying hard to win. So I'm sure there's some good games to commentate on. Yeah,
this, of course, is a deep question. It used to be Karpov, of course, but nowadays Magnus Carlsen... in my opinion, maybe even have overtaken to be the best endgame player.
I think that's kind of widely accepted these days, isn't it? He's renowned for his endgame technique. And probably people's technique improves over time as well, because they have more material that they can look at more easily. So, the top endgame players from 50 years ago, I'm sure, are not as strong as the top endgame players now.
Magnus also has the advantage that he can learn from Karpov, which, was not possible in the old times, the other way around.
Sure, yeah.
But they all have played great fights. It's really very enjoyable to look at their endgames and their specifics in more detail. Fischer, of course, also had several fascinating fights against Mark Taimanov and Petrosyan, I still remember, and Spassky from the World Championship match. So,
sure.
Really great fights. This is a bit easier, of course. You have a queen and a bishop against 2 rooks and must be winning.
Yeah, because the only thing I was worried about is somehow he can get some fortress. He can sacrifice his rook on c6 at some point and somehow set up a fortress. So I'm sure it was winning, but I just wanted to be careful that this didn't happen at some point. Yeah.
And otherwise it might not be so completely trivial to make progress with him. It must be winning, of course, but with him controlling the rank and some other options. For example, if you have to bring your king somewhere, it might not be so trivial.
Yeah, I have to be a bit careful. Like I'm sure it was winning, but you still have to prove the win, don't you? So.
Yeah, so I liked your... It's certainly not forced and not the only one, but I just liked your shortcut and wanted to start with a slightly easier example.
I think... Do you want me to say what I played, or are you leaving it for the viewers?
I can think in this case you can say it.
I think... Did I play bishop d5?
Yes, I liked it. It's very nice to...
It took me a few moves to kind of maneuver into this position, actually, but yeah, there was a sort of vague idea I would try this...
And the rooks are extremely strong, of course, when it gets about having the 6th rank under control and doing something there. But on the other hand, they are then relatively inflexible to do something else. Yeah.
Sure, they're stuck defending each other.
Yeah. So you win anyway. So he took, and then also it has a nice.
It was actually interesting because I had actually worked out. I know this is a bit irrelevant, but let's suppose I didn't have the checkmate and I played Queen takes f4, and then he could play king somewhere. I think I worked out that there was a way that I could create a winning position by putting... I'm trying to think exactly where it was. Like queen on somewhere... I could set up with my king on kind of d4 or something, and my queen on like d8, and kind of zugzwang him almost, because then he had nowhere to... I think if I had a queen on d8 and a king on d4, then how can he hold the 4th rank? Something like this, because then... there's certain positions where if he plays rook f5, I can check and take the rook. And
not here. Way, For example, here you could even take,
so he can never play the rook to f5.
This was a big mistake for me, of course, but...
somehow, anyway, I'm sure it was unnecessary, but I kind of worked out that in many ways I was just winning this endgame, so even if I didn't have the one-move checkmate, so...
Yeah. It could only be if you can't take on f4 and whatever, then,
even then.
Even then, but then it might at least be non-trivial. But yeah, this you had to make sure
if he could get his rook to f5 and I don't know, he'd have to.
If you play now king f3 or whatever, then again it doesn't work. So yeah, well,
if I play like queen a6 or something, maybe he can then play rook f5, and it's not so easy to break through anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but that you had made sure when you played bishop d5 that such scenarios don't occur.
Yeah. It was funny actually because it was obviously he'd missed the mate in one.
But just one question: Did he allow you the mate in one, or did he? Yeah.
It was funny because I was actually not going to play it, and I just kind of looked at him, and then I think he could tell by like the look on my face that something was up. But then I thought, okay, I might as well just play it and put him out of his misery. But yeah, it was kind of he hadn't seen it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Otherwise, nowadays it's a bit divided. In the old times, you of course resign earlier and never allow the mate. Yeah. But nowadays, there's a certain trend in the opening and other things that some players allow now the mates to whatever. It's better for the spectators and whatever. But
yeah.
It is easier for the publishers, but okay, it's not so clear. It's still a difficult business.
Yeah, I think he put up a good effort trying to defend this endgame, but I just had too many pieces. So it was never going to be able to hold it.
Okay, so the next was already on the website. You are black against Fitzsimmons.
Yeah. Did you manage to get the earlier position? Because do you remember we talked about this actually a while ago, and I had a choice between lots of different endgames.
Yeah. I now remember. I now remember. Yeah. And here then let's do it short.
Yeah.
Here it can be viewed in the archives in our last show. I somehow had the feeling, but I wanted to have one more in the other position as it is, but we have just seen you can win any way you want. Sure. This has the advantage that there's exactly one winning move, and I like this always for this website business.
Okay, this position there's only one winning move.
No, this position is a draw. This position is a draw. He should just stay there, and then
I can't force him into the bad corner.
Yeah, and then of course this is a typical sink, and it's a draw. It's important that I control f3 so that you cannot cross through.
Yeah, if I can get the king to f2, then I'm winning for sure.
If you could now play king f2, I would resign, but as you can't, it's a draw. And this is important. This happened also in other configurations when the bishop side. So and bishop d5 draws as well. So.
Yeah.
But bishop d7 in the game was a mistake. Then now we have only one winning move. This was also given on the website, so we can wait for a moment. It's also it might be even slightly surprising that it's won, but the bishop cannot control f3 anymore. This is really really slightly surprising. A typical rook domination of the bishop and the king. Rook g6. This controls the c6 square, which dominates the bishop, and threatens rook g3 check, followed by king f3 f2. And white has no defense against this threat, because after king h2, you of course have
the king, and then I can play rook g3 if I need to.
Yeah, and then this is an always winning configuration. You then just have to force the bishop out of the shadow of the kings.
Yeah,
you can see. So he played bishop b5, but check. Yeah, king h4 loses to rook b3, yeah?
Yeah, I guess we'll just chase the bishop around somewhere.
Yeah. You force the bishop now out of the shadow of the kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, because bishop...
He can't go to d5 or d3 because I just moved the king with check.
So the bishop has to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And this always has the problem that...
and just, simple
we
move,
can chase the bishop. And here already some...
It's kind of annoying that bishop's covering b1.
Yeah.
Because we want to play with b1, yeah?
Yeah.
But, or you could go king h3 then, I guess. But,
that is slightly annoying. And did I? One moment. Bishop rook here. This.
Okay, can we just play rook after bishop to g6? Can we play rook to b8 or not?
Yeah, there must be some. It must have been right until here. Yeah, but even here it's more difficult with the shadow of the kings because we are more central and the bishop. It's still very good.
Then we win the bishop.
Yeah. So it must be winning. We were also right, and over the board, it's always good to have time left.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, nice always to repeat these things. He went, but maybe maybe King H4. Okay, everything loses, but King H4 might be slightly even. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a better try. I think.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can play everything from the memory.
Yeah.
And this is always winning.
I think I missed a quicker win in this game, actually, because then I realized like a bit later.
But it doesn't. It may be, but of course, doesn't matter. As long as you win. Bishop d1, rook d3. And now he went back. And you went back.
Now I can play rook d8 or something, yeah, presumably. Does that just win, I think?
Yes. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But in the other line where it was necessary,
you know, when you get low on time, you just sometimes building up the increments as well, don't you? You just try to get yourself a bit more time. But yeah, that would have been more straightforward.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. As long as you win, it's okay with me that you gain more time on the clock. That's also in the new times, of course. In the old days, there was no increment, and then it was different, of course.
Sure.
So you would be just spending time and winning nothing. And nowadays, with the increment, it makes sense to get more on the clock. So you went back.
Yeah.
As long as you don't repeat 3 times and then find something, it's okay.
I actually had a game in the British where my opponent tried to claim a draw for 3/4 repetition and it was incorrect.
Okay.
So
now we have a similar configuration than we had before. But he was punished by.
I think I got 2-minute penalty, which actually was useful because I was quite low on time. So, Now he's got some problems, hasn't he? He's just he's lost here.
By the way, in one old time there was also in the Prague tournament I played where my opponent claimed the draw for 3/4 repetition, which had been on the board the first time. This is like I move now e4 and then we have 3/4 repetition in a way. But
okay, it wasn't as clear as that. I think I just repeated. I think I had repeated twice about 3 or 4 times, and then he's probably just getting frustrated. He just thought he'd just give it a shot. Yeah.
My opponent was also probably a bit frustrated, and then it was slightly confusing. But the position where he chose to claim was on the board the first time. This was split, you know.
Yeah.
But well,
wasn't his best effort then.
Yeah, no, it's not. But well. Yeah. But it didn't matter in the end. I had to agree to a draw. Anyway, I had a bishop pair and 2 pawns against rook and 2 pawns, and I played on for forever. But it was a draw.
Yeah.
But here it isn't because he's only 1 bishop, and you of course, now of course it's clear. And finally you executed. Now you have basically the same
one as I had a few moves earlier. Yeah.
And I have a third of your endgames against Graham, also in Basingstoke.
Yeah.
Here he could have drawn.
Yeah, because this was actually really interesting because actually a few moves earlier I thought I was winning easily, and then suddenly he got like counterplay and had all these resources. And I actually had an endgame similar to this against another player, and I had to play this like king b4 move the previous go because my king was on c3 and I couldn't play a4 because then he plays rook e5 and then he starts to just shuffle his king and rook over. So I had to play king b4 to stop him from playing rook e5. But then I was afraid he could somehow maybe bring his rook around and start checking me from the back or something like this. Yeah, I don't know if there's no, he can check me. He can just play rook f4 check. That's what I was afraid of. Yeah. Rook f4 and then check again, and then when I go to b6, then rook f4 again or something, and just try to stop me from pushing the a pawn. Yeah, that was it. That was what I was afraid of. Because I wanted to play a4, but I didn't have time to play a4 because he plays rook e5. But we were both low on time. It was. I remember actually seeing this during the game. Luckily for me, then he can play rook e5. That's the problem, and now his king is coming closer. Yeah, so But then after that, after he missed that, was I winning then, or was it still a draw?
No, rook f4 check is the only move to draw, and from now on you were winning. And of course, was it?
He told me something interesting at the end of this game, but I'll show you when you play a few more moves.
Was this that your rook is on the third rank is very good for you, because otherwise you must win with queen against rook.
Yeah, because he was saying that he thought he could force that ending, the queen against rook ending.
But not with your rook on the third rank.
Okay,
so you're a very clever player.
Yeah.
There's also what
no substitute for luck, is there?
But this is also what I wanted to mention, of course.
Yeah.
So this is losing. But it's very important that you are okay. You would have won with queen against rook as well. But with your rook on the third rank, he cannot force it.
Yeah.
We will see why. This, by the way, is also what I had with Mikhail Marin in one of the previous either Endgame show or Endgame Magics. Yeah, it's a similar or same topic. So it's quite. So it happens again and again.
Is there some situation where I'm getting queening and then I pick up his rook? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Here with king f7,
Yeah, that was just making it easy for me, I think.
Yeah, this makes it very easy for you.
He should just carry on checking. Yeah.
Yes, but it doesn't matter because here it doesn't matter for real. But to make my point, this is a table-based line.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the variation he was talking about afterwards, where he thought actually because I remember him saying at some point he could get his rook to the third rank or something. So maybe
if he could get it to the third rank, it would be like this.
Yeah, I think he was talking about it. He seemed to know more about this ending than me, to be honest. So, but he just wasn't able to get there. So
because you were on the third rank.
Yeah. So he wasn't able to get to this position in the first place. He just
but okay, that he would have been able. And now we will see what is going on. What he was talking about.
Yeah, this was the line that we were looking at. Yeah, this was it.
And how to win, you must go here.
Yeah, then you check on c6.
And the thing is now, if Black's rook would be on h3, then you must win with queen against rook.
Yeah, h3 is the key square, is it, to save you from losing the rook straight away?
But you had the third rank from the beginning.
I think he might have even mentioned that, to be honest, but maybe he didn't click that I was on the third rank, so yeah.
And here, of course, it's different. Here you can pick up the rook because you can put now your queen in between. Yeah. And then it's relatively easy to make it happen.
You can't go to the fourth rank, so you just keep forcing him back. Till he runs out.
You
runs out of files.
Force him back. Till he runs out of gas, and then you can.
Then you queen c7 or something.
It's already over. It's already over. Yeah, right.
Just out of interest, then, just looking at that position with the rook on h3, can you just put that one? Go back to that position where you won the rook from the start. Obviously, I know it's not winning, but if the rook was on h3, what move does black play then? Just king d6 or something?
I will now whatever. 1 moment. Okay, rook h2. Yeah, maybe I will now. This move, of course, is nobody sees it. We are. We are. Now the table base says that you can't win the rook, but you can try, of course.
Yeah. And then are you just coming back towards the rook very quickly?
Yeah. You can't win it, and then you have to win the endgame for real. You would probably have managed it, but there's, of course, the fourth rank defense, the third rank defense. And
it's not easy, is it? That's the thing.
Yeah, with the clock ticking.
Yeah.
Of course, but okay, your rook was on the third rank from the beginning, and he can't reach it.
It was quite a funny tournament, actually, because going into the last round, I was half a point clear of him, and he just beaten two strong players. I think he beat half a point ahead of him. So I could have taken a draw and taken first place, but there's quite a big difference in our ratings, so I thought I'd just try to win anyway, you know. Mm-hmm. Would you do that or not? I don't know. Or you just go for you just cash in on the prize money, or you just try to win anyway because you feel like you should?
You did the right thing, and I tell my students to do the same. Yeah. So, happy birthday to Sultan Ribley. Yes, of course. happy birthday to Zoltan. I played against him several times, and if I had known that it's his birthday today, I would have prepared something.
Yeah, you could have got one of his endgames, yeah?
Or one of his victories against me. Whatever, just to have a celebration.
Yeah. Well,
and you did the right thing, I think, and I tell my students, of course, also to go.
Okay, here there's like 400 points difference, but if you're playing someone who's maybe 100 points below you, then it becomes a bit more debatable, doesn't it? What you do, but you still play, yeah.
Yeah. And as we talked about the British Championship, you probably should see also something from there.
Sure.
There was a very important game for the whole championship, Fyodor against Adams, and which was very, very important for the whole championship because Michael Adams, of course, was the favorite and in a way also strongest, in a certain strongest player.
It's funny because, I mean, do you think maybe he's the favorite, but like every year that goes by, these younger guys like David Howell and Gawain Jones, they get a bit stronger. He gets a little bit weaker. You feel at some point the odds are going to shift in their favour. You know, I don't know when it's going to happen, but
yes,
at some point, those guys are going to be the favourites, and obviously he's in with a big chance. I'm not going to deny that, but
and okay, if this game would have gone another way, then who knows what would have happened. And Fyodor had a big chance, but it again shows that we are all only human and that the nervous pressure gets extremely high, of course, in this championship. Michael played King F7 and the position should be a draw. Of course, 2 results, white wins or a draw, but objectively it should be a draw.
Yeah.
But it's not so. Yeah, white, for example, can go G4 here and then we wouldn't be talking. White could go G4 and then he should
can
go.
Bring his king back, can't he?
And then we wouldn't be talking about it. And now the computer tells us even G5 is a draw, but no human would play it. Queen D6 is also possible.
Yeah.
But G5 is a draw, by the way. It's also these computers, they exist in another universe.
Do you have some immediate kind of perpetual or something? Or
no, it's just a draw because this was one. No, it's not a. These positions are always drawn if the attacker is not well set up. This was one of the main discoveries of the 6-man table bases. John Nunn wrote an article about it in New Chess magazine.
So how do you draw this position then? Can we just somehow back away with our king?
Yeah, you can probably, but then in general we have a drawn position on the board, so it's.
It looks winning, yeah. I don't know. Maybe
I trust that. I put my trust in the table basis.
Yeah, I do too. But at the same time,
this is the reason why human theory mistakenly thought that this is always winning. Yeah, human theory had several mistakes of these things. Human theory thought that 2 bishop pair against knight, there is a drawing fortress, but this is wrong. Bishop pair always wins if it's not a direct draw. Was table based.
So if you play like King H4 or something, I mean, how?
Okay, from now on I can't guarantee anything, but I would guess check.
King back.
Check.
King G2.
And now whatever. King G8 or whatever. I don't know.
You're telling me that's a draw position?
Yes.
Okay.
It's even worse. The table base is telling you this is a drawn position.
Okay, it's like its word for it, yeah.
And for me, you could say, well, but with the table base, it's hard to argue. And now these 6-man table bases have now been generated by several independent. With one, when only you had the Tomlinson table bases, it's still not so clear because you can make a program error.
Sure.
But nowadays, there have been so many different table base generators with different algorithms on machines all over the world. I think we can trust it's a draw. At least the 6-man stuff. With the 7-man, they are still not so much.
Okay.
But okay, maybe you can.
I'll have to take your word for that.
If you find a winning proof, I will be, I will check it very, very carefully.
Okay, fine. I'll take your word for it.
But there was also one game, I think, Nepomniachtchi against Vichy Anand, which was very similar to this, which was drawn, where the defender drew with
2 points down.
Not so difficult, different. But I think there's a big shift when you know that it's a draw. It makes a big difference to the old days.
Okay,
I think
maybe
But okay, but this was one of the big discoveries of the 6-man table bases, without any doubt. Yeah, John Nunn published it, I think, first.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Hard to believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, I agree that I will nevertheless you know, I know
Yeah.
that Mickey would never have played it.
No way he'd play that move.
Queen d6 is more you like.
Yeah.
But of course, Queen f6, Mickey also would never have played.
I don't think he would risk it. He'd keep the queens on.
Never.
For sure.
You never. I give it 2 question marks because this, of course, is losing, and it's this kind of mistakes. But this Queen endgame, I could lose by somehow, of course. But these kind of mistakes, no. If the pawns are separated, it's different, of course. It's not generally clear. If the pawns are separated, winning chance. If you have F and H pawn, are better. So sometimes chess is a really mysterious game,
Yeah.
Because the king can then hide. The F pawn is better for the king hiding.
If it was like an Armageddon game and I had to win with white, I would still take queen and 2 pawns over a queen and take my chances. Yeah, in a practical game.
It's a way
but obviously that computer can defend it. But for a human, it's really hard.
Might be similar to rook and bishop against rook pawnless.
Yeah.
You would take it and still have chances, of course.
Yeah.
But okay, some difference might be, of course, that there are systematic defenses known. But I think this queen against the pawn stuffs is more like you must find the right way to find the checks. It's not so systematic, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this loses, and nobody would go here, of course.
Yeah.
But this with the right thing. Yeah, but it's not. If the pawns are separated, winning chances are better. Still a lot of drawn positions, but the F pawn is always a valuable asset to shield the king.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why this is drawn is that H and G pawns are bad pawns to shield. There's not so much shielding space for the attacking king.
Yeah.
So they are really in general drawn, and the attacker must have a very large advantage. If the defending king is in front, of course, the defending king must be in front like we had.
Yeah.
And then to win that, the attacker must have a very big advantage. Maybe G5, H6 and mating attack or whatever like that to win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would still be a draw. Okay, so, and this, of course, would further have won because all the strong players in the...
Do you put the black puts the king in the corner? Do you have to sacrifice somehow with H6 at some point? Or how's
Yeah, this is why I was showing it still. Yeah. Of course. Here we must be careful. Right.
To watch out for stalemates, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you are, of course, right.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because if you play, if you go back a move, if you play so if you played H6.
Here it's not.
No, if you play King F7, sorry, King F7, King H8, and then H6, then he can play King H7, can he?
No. Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, that indeed.
It's kind of funny defense. Yeah.
Is nice. Excuse me. Of course, yes. It's a nice point.
Yeah, because obviously if you take, then they go G6, and then.
Very nice point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. These are there, of course. But nevertheless, Fyodor would have won that because over the board you play like what I have shown. Over the board, you win. You win this if you have these tremendous strengths. And Mickey would never have these mistakes. These strong grandmasters never make.
Yeah, he wouldn't have gone into the king and pawn endgame.
But, of course, when you are under big nervous pressure and you see strong queen centralizing move and forcing the opponent to make big concessions because pawn endgame is lost, you can be...
This is kind of disastrous blunder.
Maybe, and in a higher sense, and in that, it wasn't...
You're looking for the third question mark,
So chess really is... and for the championship, of course, it was... a very important.
Yeah. Although if he had drawn, he's still well in with a chance of winning the tournament, isn't he? So. And
for Mickey Adams, of course, it's a big help.
Yeah, but I guess it gives you that boost, doesn't it? You get half a point you don't expect, and psychologically can help. But I don't know if that had ended up being a draw like it normally would have done. Then Mickey Adams still got a good chance to win, I guess, from there.
And Michael Rahal and I were extremely impressed by David Eggleston. I must admit that I didn't know him before. So
he had like another British one year where he did quite well as well, I think.
I should follow the British more closely.
Yeah.
I see now.
Did you see my game against him? It was 100 and something 40 moves. Ended up going down to rook and knight against rook. I had him kind of dominated in the corner with rook knight and 3 against rook knight and 2.
But I only did 5. Michael Ray Hall did all rounds.
Yeah.
I did 5 and Oliver Ray 4, and in some of the rounds
yeah. That was a tense endgame I had against him. It was actually the round after he beat Luke McShane.
I was there when he beat Luke McShane.
Yeah. Then I had to play in the next round, and we had this marathon game, but he managed to escape into rook and knight v rook. But I had him kind of pinned in the corner, but it's just so drawish anyway that you can't...
It's different from rook and
you
bishop.
You can't do anything, even though he felt like he was completely trapped in the corner, had almost everything I wanted, but... it wasn't enough, So
rook and knight against rook is really very, very drawish. Okay, Kasparov beat Judith Polgar in one game and so on. And if you are in the corner and then some further, then it can be won. But
it was very difficult. Yeah.
Well, rook and bishop against rook, of course, there's a Cochrane defense and the 7th rank defense. But when the defender is in the marginal defenses, you have good chances to win because the computer can hold them. But for humans over the board, it's not just.
Yeah, sure, it's difficult. Yeah.
So congratulations to David Eggleston. It was extremely. I was very impressed by his win against Luke McShane, for example, where I was, and also here this win against John Ems.
Yeah,
I was also. So maybe your game, I don't know, but at the moment I don't remember it at least.
I was just I got to this ending and it felt like I was slowly grinding him down, and then it was rook knight and 3 against rook knight and 2 on the same side, but he was very passive. And somehow I just couldn't find a breakthrough, and then it liquidated to rook and knight against rook, and that was it. Yeah, then he just held it. So.
But in a way, it was the British was his tournament, and then just more or less everything seems to go your way. You defend the difficult positions against Grandmaster Pert, and you beat Grandmasters Ems and McShane and world
against
class.
McShane, he was losing or what? Though he was just lost, I think, wasn't he? Against McShane, and he turned it around.
Well, we of course didn't go into too much, but we said it was a close. Okay, maybe not,
I think he was lost against Luke McShane
in one moment. Okay, I don't know, maybe, but it was a very fantastic game. All 3 results possible, and it was really a tense fight. And
it was a complicated game.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was not so easy. Luke was short of time. Luke is a world-class grandmaster, to win is very difficult. But by the way, I have also beaten Luke twice. But
how old was he?
He was still very. 14, 15, he was still 16. He was still very young, of course. Yeah. But you have to catch them young, you know.
Of course, yeah. That's the trick, isn't it?
I used that trick.
Yeah. You beat them when they're young and then you give up,
Yeah,
I can get revenge.
you saw the way I did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so David Eggleston, John Ems was also very impressed because usually this should be in normal usual tournaments, it should be a draw and then you play the next game. But Eggleston had such a good big run that he even here, and double rook endings, of course, have not such a big, they are still relatively drawish, they are still rook endings, but the drawish tendency is slightly reduced. And here Eggleston really tries it very hard, and I was very impressed here how he fought.
It looks a bit uncomfortable for black, don't you think?
It is, but it is, of course, the computer, of course, says that it's a draw. It is okay. White has, of course, activity, the e-pawn and stuff, but it should nevertheless be objectively a draw.
Yeah.
But okay, I agree with you. That here again. Yeah, here comes also that is also what we had missed in the commentary in the 41st move. Nice regrouping trick. Okay, it's objectively it is a draw. It remains a draw, but I completely agree with you. It's very unpleasant for black.
Yeah.
For humans.
Did he just bring the e7 rook back?
Yeah, the rook to f7. Yeah, this I like a lot. This is also what we had. Okay, we had thought that he will fight, but maybe we had also thought he may draw because for his Grandmaster Norm and against it would still be not that bad.
Yeah.
But he fought on. That's good. Yeah, because you can't take. This is important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a single rook ending would have very large drawish tendencies, but
sure.
Not this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would of course be a big mistake. John Ems doesn't commit. I've also, by the way, played several times against Ems, but
okay.
My score is not as good as against Luke because we are almost of the same age.
Sure.
I couldn't catch him young.
Yeah, I think he struggled a bit in the British actually, didn't he? Because he's normally quite like last year he was right at the top. He was within one round of winning the tournament, and this year he was quite far down. So sometimes it goes that way, doesn't it? It depends on your form.
Yeah, but the British is a fascinating tournament for many respects, and I was very happy to commentate together with Michael Rahal. This was really great and can be watched in the archives. And it is completely different from commentating a super tournament or a world championship match, but I liked it a lot. So you have everything. You have world-class chess, world-class grandmasters. You have fights. You have
lots of games to choose between as well, don't you? I guess, which is nice because then you can find the interesting ones.
I can always pick the endgame, the interesting ones, the endgames, and this. Yeah. Yes, definitely right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead a bit. He played, of course, rook behind the pawn is, of course, right.
Can he?
Okay. Excuse me. Choose the other rook. Excuse me.
If you play like rook fe5, can you play the rook on f7 back to f3? Is that the idea? And try to and just try to queen the e pawn.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Looks interesting. Yeah. It's not so easy for black and Eggleston, because here you cannot go down to a single rook endgame.
How do you stop the e pawn? It's quite hard, yeah.
Okay, I will risk it. But it was.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I
don't know
if it's.
But it was an unintended error. It was just taking the wrong rook.
Yeah.
John Ems shows here that he knows how to do it. He is active enough in a way to draw it.
Yeah.
But nevertheless,
he played that part quite well, actually.
Yeah, this part is very well, but still, it's more unpleasant than it looks. Still, it's a computer draw. In a correspondence game, you could agree a draw, but over the board, it's more unpleasant for black than it looks, I think.
It feels like you need to somehow double behind the e pawn, but
what to do? How? It's not so easy. Yeah, you are in a way tangled in knots.
Can you go like rook h2 and try and then I don't know if you've got time for that or not, but
and then you want to.
I want to play like rook e3 or something and double, but
after e7, rook e3,
you probably have some clever move here.
I double.
Oh, you're going to take on g7?
Taking rook c7.
Clever. So for rook e2, then you take on g7, it says.
Yeah, and you are lost.
Nice. Yeah, it's not easy to defend.
No, definitely not. And we, of course, live commentary, of course, you are a bit swimming around also. Yeah. But, we already felt in a way that it was Eggleston's tournament anyway. Okay, but Ems went here. It's okay.
He's trying to create some mating nets,
And here comes now the thing, how to defend. But it's already, I think, John Eggleston is having one of the tournaments of his life. For John Ems, it's not going his way. It's already a bit. And then psychologically, it's very difficult to defend these things. It's difficult objectively anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. He used to play some crazy move like King G8.
No. You are very strong. You are, of course, very strong defender also. This is a bit... Yeah, okay. I think this also, by the way, this is one the computers taught us. The computers were much better defenders than the humans. Yeah. Many mistakes in the old analysis are committed because bad defense is played. And next thing is from the world class or super strong grandmasters. They are often stronger than other players due to these moves. Yeah. While to find a flashy attack, to find rook takes g7 followed by flashy, many people can do it. But to draw these drawn positions, this is a different story.
Yeah.
You're very strong. No, King J8 this was right. And then whatever.
I'll probably blunder a rook next move,
Yeah, maybe, who knows. Who knows. But it's also h5 would be a mistake.
Yeah.
Then comes e7, and then we have a similar problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we have similar story. You have the additional square, only it doesn't matter.
Okay. What is that right? We're not just like take it, no.
Excuse me. This was, of course. I was mixing up the. Excuse me. I was mixing up the lines. What is written on my sheet of paper here? Not rook. I was mixing it up. You're right.
I mean, I was looking whether you can get away with rook g2. Or
Yeah, I should have, instead of
Yeah.
mixing everything up, I should have asked you.
Yeah.
This is also written on my
Okay.
sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, also quite nice. Yeah, these
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
double rook endings are not as drawish as single rook
Sure.
endings.
Yeah.
And the other line, of course, this is line I wanted to show. The other line we already know, and now I can follow you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it. You threaten mate, but it doesn't matter because
Sure.
I will strike first.
Yeah, that e-pawn is very difficult to deal with, isn't it?
Yes. And Ems played rook g6, and now he's losing because it's not possible to deal with the e-pawn
Okay.
anymore.
Yeah, there's this common rook takes g7 move always, isn't there? Which
Yeah,
is,
yeah. John gave a spy check and resigned.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was really a great tournament. It's of course also very good that so many strong players played. Yeah, the
Yeah.
British top. And you are playing...
They got more sponsorship, I think, so they could attract some of the top players. Yeah.
Yeah, not many missing, by the way. Adams was playing, Gawain Jones was playing, David Howell was playing, Luke McShane was playing, you were playing.
Just sort of Nigel Shaw and Matthew Sadler, I guess, those two.
Yeah, Short, Sadler, Hodgson, Nunn, Spielman, but
yeah, they don't play so much anyway. Hodgson, Nunn, they don't really play now. Yeah.
Okay, but it was extremely strong. It was very
strong,
with these. And the British Olympiad team for the Batumi Olympiad upcoming soon.
Yeah.
There will be...
Well, they got 4 good players anyway. So.
Michael Adams, Gawain Jones.
David Howell and Luke McShane.
And Nicholas Pert.
That's it, yeah. I think I benefited from these FIDE elections going on, so Nigel Short isn't playing.
Okay. Yeah. So you are probably supporting Nigel, but okay, we want to, so that you can play more in the national.
Yeah, I don't think I get a vote somehow, which is lucky because I don't really want a vote. So yeah.
Batumi will be great. The Indians have
Are you going or not?
No, but I will of course follow.
Sure.
There will be many fascinating. Olympiads are always for me great because they will produce fascinating endgames and stories and whatever out. India will have a very strong team Vishy Anand will be at the helm for it's a very strong. Of course, then the United States with Fabiano Caruana.
Yeah, they'll be really strong, won't they?
China. Russia. So it will be a chess festival. Of course, many other teams, Azerbaijan, Armenia, France, British, Germany, you name them.
Maybe Ukraine, they're normally good at
Ukraine. Many things can happen there. Of course, you never know. One team may have a good run and win, but it may also be extremely close between many teams.
Sure. Yeah.
You just
need your players to be on form. That's the key, don't you? They need to all be playing well.
Yeah, you shouldn't lose many, for the Germans at least, you shouldn't lose many games, only maybe a handful of games in the whole Olympiad, and then somebody should win in some moment, and then, if it goes very, very well. But of course, Wiener. So that's great that you play there, and of course, I wish you good luck, only in the match against Germany.
We normally lose to Germany anyway. So.
It's not soccer. No, it's just this was a bad joke. I know, but you have also won against Germany in soccer and chess several times.
Yeah.
So, well,
we'll see what happens. Who's in the German team this year?
Nizipanu, Meyer, Rasmus Swane, Friedman, and.
It's 5 players.
Yeah. Rasmus on the 5th. Rasmus was my guest in the Endgame show 22 in German. Can be watched in the archives of the chess.
Is he strong? Is he, or how strong is he?
About slightly lower than 2,600.
Okay.
So, I trained him for some time in the past, and he was my guest in the last Endspiel show. Yeah, so German team is not, I think, about 15th or whatever. So it's not among the top teams.
Yeah.
So everything must go. But they have some players who lose not very often, but of course it must be in that tournament on the right day, in the right...
Yeah, you need the players to be on form, don't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's a big deal in Batumi.
Yeah.
Everything is possible, but it will be extremely exciting and strong and fascinating endgame producing. And yeah, we can look forward to that. Okay, so Nick, many thanks for joining me in the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. That's the highlight of my trip.
And yeah, if you come back to Hamburg, maybe we can do another one.
Sure.
Okay, so then you can continue your work on the DVDs, and for the viewers, have a nice evening.
Okay, goodbye.